What's up, Chris? How's it going, man?
Good. Thanks for willing to do this.
Yeah, my pleasure. I saw you, Kari Walgren did an interview with long hair, so I had to follow suit. I think it's SAG after rules say she and I have to have the same hair length at all times. So, what's up?
Was your first any kind of entertainment job and Funny About Love?
My first entertainment job was before that, but it
Okay.
was the same director, Leonard Nimoy, who was my
Yeah.
cousin, who got me into SAG with this ride called Body Wars at Epcot Center. And it
Oh,
was
okay.
like, they were like shrunk down into a little spaceship and got injected into the body, something like that. And I was like, I played like a Sulu character, the navigator,
Mhm.
a little bit. And my first line on camera was, Med 1, please report to the deminiaturization chamber. Med 1, please report. And that played over when you were walking into the the ride,
Yeah.
It's pretty weird. Yeah, good memory. I haven't thought of that in a long time.
What was your experience on the movie?
Funny about love?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that one was it was kind of torturous at the time because I wrote a blog about this once that I didn't even know Leonard was making a movie, right? We were at Hanukkah and I came to the party late and he was online at the smorgasbord, whatever, the buffet style. And I just walked up to say hi and he said, hey, I heard you're going to have a day of work on my movie. I said, I do? Really? Oh my God, that's fantastic. He's like, happy Hanukkah. And it was like fantastic. And so he said, you'll be sent the script or you'll be sent the lines, whatever he said. The casting director will be in touch, is what he said. And the casting director sends me this whole script, right? And she's like, you're the waiter in capital letters, the waiter, right? And right there, page one, the waiter, right? And he's got 6 pages in the scene with Gene Wilder, who is one of my favorite actors of all time. He was the star of the first movie I ever saw, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So, so I am like learning my lines and I'm going through all my acting. I'm very young. I'm like 22, 23 years old. I'm going through my, all my acting technique that I had of that time, just fresh out of college, NYU and Stella Adler and all that stuff. And I saw Leonard, at the time a bus picked us up and then dropped us off at the set. And I saw him right then and there, as soon as I got off. And I said, hey, I learned all my lines. And he laughed like, like he thought I was kidding. And I'm like, what? Why is he laughing? I don't understand. Why did he laugh? And so I mean, all day long, I'm like, they got me a trailer with a star, and
Mhm.
I'm like, wow, I've arrived in Hollywood. This is it. I'm a star. I didn't even know, I was so new to the whole thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know every actor got that, even if they do have one line, which it turned out I did because I waited this whole day and to shoot my scene. And then I was confused, like there were other waiters in the scene. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What I was so embarrassed. I didn't know what scene we were shooting that I was in. And I had to go back to the script and find like on the last page, it's like 3 waiters say in unison, get out of the way. And it wasn't even in the dialogue. It was such a throwaway in the
Oh,
action. It wasn't even like, and I went to Leonard on a break and I asked him, can I play the other waiter? And he's like, no, that's another actor in New York. I can't fire him, and then hire you. It's already been cast, and that guy's been working on his lines. He's like, I'm sorry, the casting director shouldn't have said that. She shouldn't, it was her mistake. But I was so depressed. And Gene Wilder, I thought, well, at least I'm going to meet Gene Wilder. But he was like, unapproachable really at that time. I don't know, maybe it's part of his technique. I don't know, maybe it's because his wife just passed away.
Yeah.
And it was not a great experience, even though the build up to that was the greatest experience of my life, thinking I'm going to do this scene and I'm on my way in Hollywood, you know. Oh well.
Did you get to meet like Mary Stuart Masterson or anybody else that was in that?
No, I got to meet oh, my mind is gone. His co-star, Christine Lottie. Yeah,
Okay,
she
yeah.
was great. Yeah, she was fantastic. We talked a lot, and I met her husband at the time, and we all got along really well. It was just one day, though, one long day. So,
And did that kind of like if you wanted to keep her sitting on camera at that time, or did that kind of like demotivate you after that?
no, I pursued on camera for a long time. I pursued it for about 8 years, and overlapping some of those years, or maybe at 8 years, I just said, no, in 93, I just said, you know, I don't care if I just make it as an actor. I have other interests. I'm just going to go through any door that opens in Hollywood, no matter what it is. I'm just going to go through it and see what happens. And that's sort of how I got into anime. I never really had, it got me into voiceover, which led me into anime, which led me into writing and then producing and directing and executive producing. Kept going through doors, you know. So I pursued acting for a long time on camera until I was already directing Digimon, and I was still going to auditions, like commercial auditions on camera. And I like ran out of Westwood to get to Santa Monica. Westwood is where we recorded Digimon at the time. And I like drove down to Santa Monica to get this audition in. And I was a big improv actor at the time. So I knew a lot of the other big improv actors in town. And I get there and we go in and they pair up a couple of people. And it was a Kellogg's breakfast commercial, right? For all their cereals. And one guy is wearing a pig head and the other guy's wearing a horse head. And I'm like, wait, am I the guy in the horse head or am I the voice of the horse head? And they're like, we don't know yet. We're open to all kinds of ideas. Just do some improv about all the cereals, but you're a horse and you're a pig, and then switch. And I'm just like, oh, I can't. And as I was leaving, I ran into Wayne Brady, who he and I did a lot of improv. He and I did a lot of improv together back then. And he's like, how's it going? I go, Wayne, I just went on my last on-camera audition ever. I'm never doing it again. Not that I wouldn't be on camera again. I just wasn't going to audition again, you know? It was just so hit and miss. And now I'm auditioning for things with, you're not even going to see my face? What is this, you know? So I just kind of quit pursuing it at that point, you know? But I've done some on-camera stuff over the years.
Right. And so what was the first anime project that you had any kind of involvement in?
First one, I did some voices on Honey Bee Hutch in 1994, I want to say. Some other things like Something Panda. I can't remember. Something Panda. That could have been the actual title, to tell you the truth, Chris. Something Panda. It didn't translate from Japanese, so we just called it Something Panda. No, I don't know what his name was. It was Panda something. And then finally, I booked a regular role on Bit the Cupid.
Okay.
I don't even remember the character's name, but he sounded like this a lot. He was Eumeculus or something like that. It was a very funny show and a very funny character, directed by Mark Handler. Bit the Cupid was a regular role. He was in every episode, which was nice.
And
solid work.
I'm not sure, like, or how many times Bridget Hoffman directed you in something, but do you have any like specific memory about that?
Oh yeah, Bridget directed a lot of Trigun.
Okay.
Which I played Wolfwood, but I directed Bridget before she directed me. She was in Digimon doing incidental roles and things like that. And I think she played a villain for a couple of arcs. But Bridget was great. I love Bridget. And I haven't seen her in many, many years. But it's usually a giggle fest with me and Bridget because we just like to laugh. And a lot of things crack us up. So, but Bridget, I think Bridget's the one who, she bought me a pack of cigarettes, I think, finally, for Trigun, because I used to do it with a pencil in my mouth as a cigarette. She's like, just buy a pack of cigarettes. I'm like, oh, good. Or I think she just bought me a pack.
I can just ask about Trigun now, but I would think that with your role as Wolfwood, that would definitely be the most emotional that you had to get into for any kind of anime role.
Yeah, absolutely. He was the most layered character, most three-dimensional character for sure. What's Tentomon's backstory, for God's sakes? He was a Digi-Egg, he was Modimon, and now he's Tentomon, end of story. But we actually know Wolfwood's backstory. We know how he grew up, we know how he got to the point where he is, and we know the end as well. Mm-hmm. So he's a spoiler alert. He's definitely the best character I ever played.
And what was that? Is there any kind of particular process you got into for when he dies, that scene?
Well, I've told this story many times
okay.
at cons, but I'll tell it again real quick. Because I was working so much at that time doing Digimon the movie and Digimon Series 2, Season 2. I only had 11 hours I had to give all 11 hours of Wolfwood and get it done, right? Because it was just too much time otherwise. Yeah. So I had to pull an all-nighter, at 6 p.m. So when I recorded that death scene at 5 a.m., it wasn't hard to get into. You were emotional, you were drained, you were tired. You're like, I'm ready for you to die, buddy. I'm ready for you to die.
Yeah. And what about with, because I know you had roles in the Fist of the North Star and early Gundam.
Yeah, that was the same company that did did Trigun, so they knew me. The casting director knew me from that stuff. When I did Fist of the North Star, I did another one like that. And what did you say, Gundam?
Yeah, one of the early Gundam series.
It's possible I did voices, but I wrote an early Gundam series, Gundam Wing.
Oh, okay.
Gundam Wing something. SD Gundam Force, that's what I wrote.
Okay, yeah.
You forget they all blend together. SD Gundam Force. I wrote that whole series.
And regards, there were just some maybe more unique things I wanted to ask about Digimon. Was there any kind of more intense emotional space that you had to get into for playing Tentomon and his evolutions ever?
Tentomon, like I said, it's just he's only got one action, and that's to serve Izzy, in terms of that. And at the end, it's just hard to convey emotion when you've built the character up to be the comedy relief the whole, for 15 years, Right. So when we had the goodbye scene in one of the Digimon Try, I guess it's the last Digimon Try, it was very hard to, try to elicit some emotion from your audience that way, but that's about as far as you can stretch Tentomon. You know what I mean? I don't remember what I did, but I'm guessing I probably went the opposite way and made people laugh.
Yeah.
We did a funny cry. I don't remember. Maybe I did 2 takes. I can't remember the one they used, But Tentomon's not very emotional. It's not
I did also want to ask if there's one specific highlighted memory or story that you have about Felice Sampler.
Oh, my poor Felice. Well, you're going to get me emotional real because he's still very, very, fresh. Mm-hmm. But she and I were very, very close. and give me a second. I'm going to get a gift that she gave me a long time ago.
Okay.
I have it right here on my desk. I keep it here on my desk, and it's this pack when the season 1 wrapped of Digimon. She gave me this pack, and she wrote one half of it as Mimi and one half of it as Felice. And she's just the best. Anyway, she last time I saw her was at the premiere of my movie. It wasn't a premiere, it was a screening, a friends and family screening of my movie, Famous. And she was there. She was so happy. And she was like, I've got to talk to you about, I've got so many ideas that I want to make, and I don't know how to make. Please help me. Because, I made Famous like with nothing, no money. And so we had breakfast pretty much the next morning, very soon after my screening, and we went over a bunch of ideas. I gave her my ideas, and there was an older gentleman a couple of tables away from us. We were at this outdoor cafe, and he was probably in his 70s, and Felice said, I know him. I was on Days of Our Lives with him, the soap opera. And he looks over, and she's smiling and waving, and he thinks she's hitting on him. Oh. And he's like one of these aging soap opera stars, like skinny as a rail, like 90, and he comes over and he's like, hi, young lady. And she's like, hi, you don't remember me? And he goes, no, I'm Johnny Soap Opera. What's your name? And she's like, Felice Sampler. I played your wife for 4 years on Days of Our Lives.
Yeah, that's great.
Like he had no memory of her, So I cracked up. She was so funny, but she was great. I also got to see her win an Anime Award. Just coincidence, we were both nominated the same year, and we went. Oh. And at the LA Film Festival, and neither of us, brought a date. So we were like, all right, let's be each other's date. So we were each other's date. And I saw her win an award that night. She won. And she saw me lose. I lost an award that night. Oh, well.
Moving ahead a little bit, after Digimon, I know that you got to play 2 characters in Rave Master.
I remember one.
Okay.
I might have played an incidental character and then this character, or maybe they were months apart. But again, my mind's gone. What's the character's name that I'm famous for?
Julia.
No, the other one.
Oh, it's like Triangle, something like that.
No, I'm gonna have to teach you now. I don't know. I can't remember.
And so how did you, because I guess it was sort of around that same time, how did you get involved with directing Zatchbell?
Well, Zatchbell, I can't remember what came right before it, but I was directing that for Jamie Simone, who, along with Denny Densmore, who has now passed away, started, we all knew each other at Fox Kids, the old Fox Kids, and then Saban Entertainment.
Yeah.
So they started their own group after Fox Kids got bought out by Disney, and called Studiopolis. And I was probably doing either a pilot there, or I know I was writing Sunny Pig, which was Tokyo Pig.
Okay.
I was writing a lot of that, if not all of them. And so that came sort of like right before, and it's hard to remember now, going back to 2003, I think. But the writing came first, and then I think Jamie just asked. I think I directed Monkey Turn for him, which was a pilot, and then I think because I was there, he offered me Zatchbell, and it wasn't the greatest show, I'm going to admit, but as we say in the business, we polished that turd as good as we could. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We tried to make it funny as could be, but we were limited to long bouts of exposition,
right?
Long bits of dialogue and crying. Poor Debbie Derryberry. She had to cry talk for pages at a time. And then you want to do it. I have to match the lip flaps every time while being pronounced. Oh, such brutal. And Jason, who played, help me.
Kiyomaru.
Yeah, Kiyo. Kiyo, he would call it, he would call him Captain Obvious and Exposition Boy. That's what he would call Zatchbell.
Yeah.
And we would every time we come up with, sometimes it's Zatchbell, sometimes it's Zatch smell, you know. So you gotta take a whiff and just, you know, get through it. And but Colleen was great as Susie, and that's a memorable role for Colleen. Susie, very funny character. And Kiyo, I remember Kiyo started sort of liking Susie in his mind. He couldn't help the thoughts. He's like, I am kind of attracted to those cankles, and a picture of her ankles at the time. Great line. We did have a lot of fun. Wally Wingert and I had a real fun time on that show. I cast him in probably 12 different roles on that show.
Oh.
And none of them sounded alike. He was so versatile. Celebrities galore. We did so many celebrity impersonations. Adam West as the train conductor. Takamine. Paging Kiyo Takamine. Very funny.
Yeah. Well, even the roles that like Crispin Freeman had as Juan Ray, I mean, there were some that were actually like emotional and involved.
Yeah, he was great, as was Gwendolyn Yo, who I love directing. I offered Gwendolyn the lead role in Famish.
Oh, yeah.
But she couldn't do it. But I think she was my first choice.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Oh, well. Well, she wasn't my first choice. She was my first LA choice, because I didn't think I was going to be able to do it in LA. Anyway.
And how did that work? Like, why did you become the voice of Ken Chome after Richard Horvitz? Did he just step out, or?
You know, he had some issues and just didn't want to return. He just didn't. Maybe he didn't like the role. I don't know. You're gonna have to ask him. But he actually, you know, Jamie just said, "Who are we gonna get to replace Richard Horvitz?" So I'm like, "Alpha Gore," and he's like, "You're hired." It was that quick. You know, that's how long the casting redecision took. I've done a lot of impersonations in my life. You know, there's a lot of us who do. Lex Lang does a lot. You know, voice actors tend to, you know, we have a lot of voices and we can do a lot of impersonations. And Richard Horvitz has such a distinct voice that it's kind of, the more distinctive voice you have, the kind of easier it is to impersonate. So
yeah. And how does that work? Like when you're directing a show, but you're also voicing a main part. I mean, who's directing you?
Well, I'm directing me, but the engineer gives me a lot more help than normal, you know? So I would, you know, you can kind of see, like, a lot of actors become directors as well. Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, myself, Lex Lang now, Michael Sorge, Richard Epcar, Wendy Lee, of course. Wendy Lee is one of the bigger, you know, of the combined actor and director, you know, and one of the first. But you know, we've put our 10,000 hours in, you know, and the process has slowed down for us a little bit, you know, so we can see things very fast. Like, we'll just say, like, we'll see something and we'll go to the engineer, 3 frames left. And like, the average person won't see those 3 frames, you know what I mean? But we see it. And you know, it's just, we can just see it, and we'll know when we didn't do a good take. And we'll also know, like, just punch me in at that point. The first part of that's good, and just punch me right there, and I'll do the rest, you know?
Okay.
So, you know, some of the fastest dubbers become, you know, directors. Some of the fastest dubbers don't bother directing because all they have to do is be hired constantly and just show up for 2 hours, have no responsibilities, and go home. But they're great. Yuri Lowenthal is one of the fastest stubbers there is. Dave Wittenberg is sort of otherworldly, like he anticipates things.
Oh,
You know, Johnny,
yep. Young Bosch, yeah.
sorry, Johnny. Johnny is very fast. Johnny can go pages of, you know, he just sees it quicker. His eyes, I don't know, you know, he's got Power Ranger eyes, vision, you know,
Yep.
so that's why.
And did you have any kind of major interaction with Bryce Papenbrook back when he was just like a teenager when he started?
Not as a teenager, but even before that, I just met him, you know,
Okay.
because I hired Bob for my NFL film stuff a lot. His father, Bob Papenbrook.
Yeah.
And Digimon, of course, we worked together. But I would drop off a tape of NFL films for Bob to look at to try to match a little dubbing. So when we get in the studio, it's, you know, it's right there. And I'd see, you know, Bryce playing on the lawn. You know what I mean? Pretty funny. And then later on, I directed him, and it is kind of mind-boggling sometimes, and it makes you feel really old that you directed both father and son. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well.
Did you like, or what was the reason why that you didn't direct Digimon Fusion and Reborn?
It was just time to leave. You know, we were burnt out. When I say we, I mean Spliced Bird Productions, my production company at the time, with Bob Buchholz,
yeah,
my partner. And you know, it was just a big workload, you know, to do the movie and season 2. You know, we were working 20-hour days,
right.
6 days a week, and then half a day on Sunday. I had to play my Sunday softball. I had to, you know, leave me alone for just this little bit to recharge my battery, you know, and and then it was just like burnt out, and they were happy to have. It was a mutual thing. It wasn't like we told them we're not coming back next year, and they were like, well, if you're not coming back next year, we're just going to buy you out of these last 4 episodes. And we're like, well, that's fine too, you know?
Okay.
So we were just leaving, you know, and they were happy. We were happy. And we moved on to, I think, Mummy Nanny was next.
Okay.
It ever aired here. Mummy Nanny was another show starring Mona Marshall as the mummy. I think the premise is already there in the title. I think you get it. She's a mummy nanny. It was a German show that after we dubbed it into English, I think it only aired in Ireland, of all the English-speaking countries. But Joshua Seth played one of the roles, the lead kid, and she was the mummy. And it was a very, very funny show. And, oh, well, you know, that's life. And then 9/11 happened, and I don't remember what happened next, but soon after that, I decided I don't want to just do anime anymore, and Bob was very happy just doing anime. And I said I want to broaden my horizons a little bit, and for 2 years I developed some other shows with other people that never went, and things like that. And then eventually anime sucked me back in with Zatchbell, I think. You know, I told you, like, Sunny Pig, the writing, that's the trajectory. Sunny Pig, Monkey Turn, Zatchbell, I'm back in, you know, until about 2008, 2009.
And after that, after Zatchbell, has there been other opportunities for like voicing and directing anime that you just turned down?
Well, right after that, I did Naruto for the first 13 episodes.
Okay.
And it was getting ridiculous. I was doing Zatchbell, finishing Zatchbell, which wasn't done yet, starting Naruto, and preparing Digimon Data Squad. And I said, I got to give up one of these. Mm-hmm. So Naruto is not really my cup of tea, you know, compared to Digimon. I'd rather do Digimon. Especially because now they were going to leave me alone with Digimon. Naruto had a lot of prying eyes, you know, from Viz Media in terms of like the client, you know, is always watching. in terms of what they want, and they'll send back a bunch of, redos if they're not happy. Digimon, I pretty much had carte blanche. Disney didn't even know they owned Digimon, at that time when it came back. And now all of a sudden they had it. So Jamie walked up to me one day while directing Zatchbell and goes, "You're the Digimon guy, right?" I go, "Yeah, I'm the Digimon guy." He goes, "Good. I think we just got Digimon." Because I told them I had the Digimon guy. So they're like, "Good, you got it." and so I said, and we also did the other series at that time. We did the movies, rather, Revenge of Diaboromon.
Yeah.
That was also while I was doing Zatchbell. And again, I got no prying eyes on that. I got to pretty much do that, what I wanted. They was like, "Here's the budget. Here's how many actors we have. And go for it." And I did it my way. Nobody questioned anything. And then they also offered me Tamers, whatever the other one was.
Okay.
Or the other two were. And I said, "You know what? I didn't do these. I left Digimon. Why don't you get Mary Elizabeth?" And she did. I'm pretty sure that's her first stop with Studiopolis. And then, so when I gave up Naruto, I said, "You know what? You loved working with Mary Elizabeth. She's great. Give her Naruto. This is perfect for her. She would love this show." Mm-hmm. So that's what happened. And it's a bad business decision on my part. Naruto ran 11 years, 15 years. I don't know. This is still going. And Digimon Data Squad was 50 episodes. So, but whatever. I was very happy with Digimon Data Squad. It's one of my favorite things I ever did, if not the favorite thing I ever did. Well, Famous is my favorite thing I've ever done. But for a long time, Digimon Data Squad was my favorite.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So then, in regards to Ultraman, I'm sure you've been asked this, but how did you get Josh Hutcherson involved with that?
I didn't. The casting director, Jamie Simone, did.
Okay.
In fact, we didn't even have an Ultraman when we started Ultraman, because they were just negotiating with several name actors. And so we just started without Ultraman himself, and we did all the incidentals, supporting roles. Steve Bloom, I think, might have been the first actor. Fred Tatasciore, another of my favorites. Fred and I laugh a lot when we work together. I think I cast him in something in Zatchbell, a long time ago. I think maybe that's where I met him. Might have been Digimon Data Squad, but I knew him pretty well by the time we did Ultraman, Okay. And then Doug Erholtz, I've known for a long time. There's so many guys, so many. Oh, Liam O'Brien, I worked with him a lot on Naruto, that first 13 episodes, He is so funny. Liam O'Brien makes my belly hurt from laughing so hard. Then finally, Jamie just said, "We got our man, Josh." So Josh came in. He was really easy to work with, really open to, give me a break with this dubbing thing, because, I'm not coming from this world, so I had to work with him in terms of dubbing technique a little bit, But we got into a nice role, and he still had plenty of room to give me alternate takes, something he wanted, I never said no. And we had a great, time. We're both sort of pop culture freaks, we know everything. We've seen every movie, seen every TV show. Mm-hmm. And we're both Family Guy nuts. And we would just do impersonations to each other. He does a lot of impersonations. Pretty funny. Yeah, so... He also has one of those voices that he can do a lot of different voices, Yeah,
that's not what you would totally expect unless you would work with them.
Yeah, right. No, it was a fun experience. He's a good guy.
And in regards to Famous, I was wondering, did you have a big list of people you want, other voice actors you wanted to be involved in that?
Yeah, I offered it first to people that really knew the convention world,
right.
People were sort of regulars in the convention world. And when I said Gwendolyn was my LA choice, you'll understand what I mean. in a second. But they all turned me down. Like I offered it to several people who I won't mention, but they all turned me down. And they just thought that maybe fans wouldn't get it.
Okay.
And that they would think I'm making fun of them or the whole process, or they wouldn't understand what's real and what's fake. Is this a documentary? Is this a mockumentary? They just didn't give enough credit to the fans, in my opinion.
Right.
But I took their notes to heart, and I went out and I hired a couple of fans to read it and give me feedback, you know? Mm-hmm. And they were like flipping out. They loved it so much. And I was like, is anything here offensive? And they're like, no, it all rings true. It all happens, you know? And, you know, there are actors like that, you know, and maybe some actors even saw it as me pulling the curtain back on voice actors at conventions, but it's a world no one's seen, really, you know? It's the first time a film has tapped into that, but it's not hard to see. I mean, you go to any convention once and you see the lines for William Shatner at New York Comic Con. He's charging $100 an autograph. You know, it's not a secret, you know? So anyway, they all turned me down. And I said, I've got to stop reaching out to these actors that are on tour. And I've got to reach out to actors who don't really know the convention circuit that well, you know? Except there was one lone holdout from my first batch, Lex Lang, who has been to a lot of conventions, and he happens to be an LA actor. So he called me, and I was expecting another thumbs down, and because he left me a voice message. And I'm good friends with him. So he left me a voice message of, hey, Jeff, it's Lex. Give me a call back. I read your script. But, you know, I'm like, oh, here comes another no, you know? And I said, I love Lex too much to make him suffer through telling me no. So picked up the phone. And I said, he answered it. I said, it's okay. I understand. It sounds like you're about to tell me no. I get it. Anyway, no, just the opposite. I absolutely loved it. I'm all in. I thought it was fantastic. And I literally pulled over my car and started weeping. I got teary. I'm getting teary right now, choked up. And you know, Lex is like sort of like a mystical guy too. I don't believe in this kind of stuff, but he does. And he manifests these things, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I just knew it was all going to manifest now that Lex is on board. I was going to get all his good vibes, you know? And he and I worked on the script a little bit too and got it much better. He's a great collaborator. And you can hear I'm still very emotional just thinking about Lex, you know?
Yeah.
And that got the ball rolling. And then I said, I'm just going to go to LA actors now, you know? I offered it to Gwendolyn. She couldn't do it. Wanted to do it. Couldn't do it. Offered it to Brian Donovan, my first choice. He's in, you know? Davis and Nimoy back together, you know? And then I couldn't find a per se anime actress to do it, but a voice actress, Nikki Boyer, is a voice actress. So, but it was also her first time. She had no connection to cons, you know. She also has quite a bit of a TV career as well, which is great. So I cast her in that role, and off we went, you know, Jonathan Fahn, of course. You know, and off we went to Madison, Wisconsin, and we shot 80% of the movie at an actual live convention over the course of 6 days. Yeah. And it was thrilling. It was exhausting, thrilling, emotional, angering, hilarious, relaxing, stressful week of your life. But afterwards, you're shaking with joy. You can't believe you actually pulled it off. 80 pages of dialogue, of screenplay in 6 days. It's unheard of, you know? But we shot with 2 cameras simultaneously. And I shot digitally because I knew I'd have to do all lighting in post, you know, and which I did. And luckily, you know, I've been around since '93. I've been a producer. So I know some people that are willing to, my pitch to everyone was the same thing. I have no money. This was right after the brain tumor. So I had a new lease on life. And I was like, I'm tired of waiting. And I went to everyone. I said, I have no money. I don't know if anyone's ever going to see this film. I can't even guarantee it's going to be good. All I know is I'm tired of asking for permission to make a movie, and I'm just going to make one. And if you want to make one too, let's go. And Lex is the first who said yes. And we moved on from there, you know. And we made it. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm getting weepy now. It's crazy thinking we actually did it. And the more insane part, it just keeps getting crazier, because the more insane part is a small, tiny movie like this got a worldwide distribution deal,
Right.
digitally, but still, you know, it's unheard of. A movie that cost this little to make, you know. So you saw it. You tell me, what'd you think?
Yeah, I did think it was funny, and I immediately got that it was like not making fun of anybody, like fans or anything. And
Thanks.
yeah, and it was cool seeing, like, because you obviously, like you said, there's never been anything else like that with other anime people or voice actors or anything.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I used real fans, you know, real fans as extras,
Right.
costumed extras, and they were great. We couldn't clear the room to get the next batch of fans in who wanted to come in. They wouldn't leave. They were like, no, screw them. We got the seats. We're not leaving. Because we filmed all of the panel room scenes in that one location. So
Yeah.
we don't just shoot the opening ceremony or whatever, not ceremony, but the opening voiceover panel, but we also shoot the directing panel in there and Nikki's panel and all of it, you know, and my voiceover workshop, you know, all of that. So that's a lot of scenes in that one location. And the fans didn't want to leave. So we kept like switching them around, you know, but at some point we were like, there were 20 fans outside, you know, who need to get in, you know, so please get out. Come back later. I said, well, we're shooting this scene at 2:00. Come back later. And they did, you know. That was they couldn't wait to get in the stuff, you know. It was great.
Yeah, the way that I end every interview I do is by asking, what do you want your legacy to be?
Well, I know somewhere, you know, there's going to be an obituary of me, whether it's in the New York Post or Anime Network News. I'm not sure where, but somewhere I'm sure they'll write one of me, and the word Digimon will be mentioned. You know, it's just guaranteed. I said it to Patrick Fabian the other day, one of my close friends. He's one of the stars of Better Call Saul. Oh. And he's like, I just don't want, you know, he sees, you know, me going to these conventions, and he's like, you know, is that, you know, is there a market for a guy like me at these conventions? And I don't want to be like pigeonholed as the guy who, you know, is Better Call Saul. I'm like, your obit, it will say Better Call Saul. So get used to that right now, you know, be the Better Call Saul guy. So I just want the fans to know, you know, that all the affection and viewership and whatever it is that they've given me is greatly appreciated, you know. And I could never give back with a TV show or anything, something to match what they've given me.
Well, thanks, brother, we got to do this.
Thanks, Chris. You ask great questions. It's the reason I did this, you know. I don't think I cried on any other interviewer's thing. I might have. I'm a weepy guy, but thanks for everything.